Kansas, ranked 8th in the country, taking set one by a 25-20 score. You look at the stat sheet here, Mike. Both teams hitting under 250. Does that surprise you a little bit?
Not at all this early in the season. I think they'd both like to be up above 250 as a team, but I don't think that's a big surprise at this point, especially considering how big the teams are at the net. They're attacking against a big block every time they swing. So it's not surprising. Both sides are digging the ball well also.
Something that stands out to me, Kansas had 17 kills in that first set, but they also committed 7 errors. But you see, they're going to be aggressive. They're going to swing it.
Right. I don't think Kansas is too flustered by that. I think the surprising number is probably Payne only having 3 kills.
Sure.
And Kansas still winning that first one by 5. But as we talked about at the end of the first set, Jada Burst just gave them a big lift. She ended the first set with 7 kills on 14 swings, hitting 500 as an outside hitter. She'll take that and run.
Yeah, she'll take that, and Coach Bouchard will take it as well. Ray Bouchard, as you mentioned earlier, in his 20th season at Kansas, the winningest coach in school history, 2015 National Coach of the Year as they made the Final Four. And if you look at this Kansas team, not only do they have that experience in these seniors, these All-Americans, but since 2015, Kansas has the highest win percentage of any team in the country, 90.5%, not too shabby.
Right. So Kansas isn't just a basketball school, I guess we could say, right?
Yeah.
I think volleyball in the Midwest in general, even on the juniors level, has gotten very good in that part of the country. And I think Coach Bouchard and his staff have done a great job recruiting and finding kids that fit well with what they want to do.
Coach Bouchard with over 1,000 wins in his career. Remarkable.
Good start by Brown there. One of the great block by NC State, Evans. But Julia Brown, she has a handful here with Payne in front of her. The matchup sometimes dictates what the numbers are, and Julia Brown took 10 swings in the first game. All 10 of them she's hitting against 6'3" Kelsey Payne on the other side of the net. So she'll figure out a way around it, go high off the hands, or mix up her shots here as time goes on.
Cooch Manor to serve.
Free ball, let's see if they can convert.
Back set, Evans, not this time. All the way across, it's Payne, and she picks out a spot cross court.
Yeah, good high cross-court swing by Payne. I'll tell you what, though, Evans isn't looking like a freshman for NC State. She's taken some good swings on the right side.
This is the first home opener for the Wolfpack since 2009. And what a way to open up your schedule at home. No cupcake, a top 10 Jayhawk team. Evans with too much sauce there. And the Jayhawks will take the point.
Yeah, she's taking a big swing. That was probably a situation where she should have kept the ball in play or put it in a good spot to force the other side to scramble. Another dig.
Right there for the dig. She had 15 assists in the first set, but as you noted, partner, great defensive player as well. There she is again, hitting the deck on the Evans attack. Rigdon hits it square into the net.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, both setters doing a good job defensively. They're digging. Pickerel had a great dig on Payne earlier in that rally. Alexander, the middle for Kansas, only had 2 swings in the first set. Let's see if they try to get her involved a little bit here.
NC State meets it at the net. Kearney.
It's
and
great.
Julia Brown there.
Great discipline on NC State's block. There was a lot of, Havili created some motion on that side, but NC State's blockers stayed at home, got their hands on the ball.
Kearney right there in the middle. Miller handles the serve. Payne with the swing, and a touch by Brown. Porter sets across. Just bangs it right off the block.
That's an experienced swing by Brown. Again, she has the matchup of Payne in front of her, Took a little bit off of it, went off of her outside hand. That's a great shot.
As you noted, Kansas maybe wanting to get Taylor Alexander a little more involved. That was the other position that Kansas did not have returning. Libero we spoke about earlier, and Allie Nelson's insertion. And in the middle, as there's a whistle and a double hit called. In the middle, Taylor Alexander.
Yeah, I think Alexander, it looks like she's feeling her way there. Havili, I don't think has connected well with her yet, so sometimes that prevents a setter from going to her. But that'll be important as time goes on for Kansas.
Havili, soft hand, sets the middle. Alexander tries not once but twice. Pickrell rises up, and you can see the antennas shaking, and that's out. Kylie Pickrell, junior from Coppell, Texas.
Interesting here, Pickrell sets out of serve receive, and then in transition, she takes swings as a left-handed hitter.
Kansas just can't get it up over the net. As a coach, what's the advantage of that?
Well, I think it keeps the other team on their toes. They're not sure if she's going to be, when she's setting, they only have 2 hitters. But then in transition, when Porter sets, now all of a sudden they have 3 options, and you know there's a threat on the right side. Pickrell's a good enough hitter and a good enough athlete to be able to pull it off.
Payne, the thunderous blast, that went up and hit the scoreboard. Because it didn't go over the net, the ball's still in play. NC State still had hits to play it. And right there, Rigdon finds the soft spot in the zone.
That's been Rigdon's most effective shot. She's an experienced player. You know, she's gotten blocked a couple times, and it seems like every time she goes back to an off-speed shot, and it's proven to be effective.
With that hard topspin serve, Brown handles it admirably. Havili will set far side. Burst with a little roll. Trying to track it down. Kuchmaner with a punch over. Burst reloads, and on a touch, she'll score it for Kansas.
That's a hard thing about playing Kansas. You make a great effort on this side of the net. That was a great dig by the NC State libero, and then all of a sudden you have to dig bursts again. That gets old after a while.
Tremendous focus from the Jayhawks. Every once in a while, that can throw you off, right, when you don't think the ball's coming back over, and then it does.
Sure, that's, you know, that last rally was just proof that they played a lot of volleyball together.
Carney with an awkward set. The middle, not used to doing that. And Kansas again. Any sort of opening they have, they just go right through it.
Yeah, Havili really knows when, you know, she's picking her spots, when to go to Alexander. Again, they don't seem perfectly comfortable, but she's given her opportunities to be successful when she goes to her. This Rigdon serve is about as tough as they come. She tosses it as if she's going to hit a jump floater, and it's spinning every which way.
Bailey with a couple of big swings from her 6'4" frame. She'll try it again off the net. Really just sent it Nelson's way. And Brown might have had another play on it. It would have been 2. That ball was just hit too hard.
Yeah, again, Havili finding the middle in transition. She's gone to Alexander a lot more in transition than she has off of serve receive.
NC State badly needing to get out of this rotation. Kuchmaner and Brown meet. Pickrell will go with Bailey. And a poor hit from her. You know, we've seen some big swings from her with that 6'4" size, the daughter of Thurl Bailey, who, of course, won a championship with NC State men's basketball back in 1983, the Cardiac Pack. She can be quite an athlete for NC State volleyball.
For sure, for sure. They're going to be dependent on her to take some swings, but she already looks very comfortable.
Porter will set this near side.
Great shot.
And Bailey puts it down. And she was one of those team members I was talking about that will help Julia Brown not have to have such a workload this year.
No question. In the lineup, she's opposite Julia Brown, so they always have a big offensive threat in the front row. But yeah, Bree's father's had some pretty good memories in this building.
Absolutely. Historic Reynolds Coliseum. Renovated it. Last year was the first year after the renovation. It's got air conditioning now, which is good, especially when you get a bunch of fans in here.
I'm glad I wore my long sleeves. But what a beautiful venue for volleyball. I mean, it's a great crowd on hand tonight, and it's just the perfect size for college volleyball.
Porter communicating. Kanchan will score it off the touch.
Again, it'll be interesting to see if they can get Kanchan involved. She's not the biggest middle again, but she drives really hard. She makes herself available, and that time went over top of Havili's block.
Havili back set. Was there a touch? There was not.
Great run by Havili there. She reversed the flow. Even though the ball was out, that was a good choice on her part. But I would anticipate her going to burst here. She's gotten them out of some bad spots already.
And a serve error goes against Kuchmaner.
Tough breaker early on, you know, especially first match of the season. We're seeing some runs, some 3-4 point runs. And I think NC State would like to have that one back so they could keep Kansas stuck in that rotation.
Bumped up by Nelson and over.
Great play by Rigdon.
Kuchmaner goes sprawling. Evans sends it over, and there's Nelson meeting it on the other side. Cheadle got it over and got it to the floor.
Great defense on both sides of the net.
As the season goes along, as a coach, do you typically see your team get better offensively or defensively? Which improves more?
Yeah, I think what you're seeing early on here, the passing isn't quite as sharp. The connection between setter and hitter isn't as sharp as it will be, but both sides playing really hard on defense.
Because defense is a little more of an effort thing,
sure,
right?
Exactly. And I've been in enough preseasons to see, like, defense is a big focus during the preseason. You know, that's a tough break there. You know, the roll shot, NC State's done a better job defending, but that one scored on pick roll.
Bailey with a thunderous attack. Kansas defends well. Cheadle, she was in the net. And again, that's the second time we've seen a Kansas middle on the attack hit the net.
Right. Yeah, I think Havili, she led her a little too close to the net that time. Cheadle swung right through it into the net.
Kansas Jayhawks have won 26 of their last 27 matches in the regular season against non-conference opponents. Quite a string of wins, and remember, they're coming off a Big 12 championship, so it's not like they haven't done well in the Big 12 either.
They've become one of the consistent programs in the country, and you know, Coach Bouchard and his staff, they've been together for a long time, and I mean, it makes a difference. He's built a great culture at Kansas. It's a program that kids want to be a part of.
Well, we've seen a little more from Bree Bailey here in this second set, and NC State fans getting acquainted with the freshman, Melissa Evans. You like what you've seen from her so far?
I really do. You know, it's tough for a freshman to come in and start her first college volleyball match, but again, she looks very comfortable out there, and I think Pickerel's given her some good balls to swing at. But I really like how Evans is playing.
Havili not put in a good position to set that time.
Good shot by Brown to keep it alive.
And a big block, a solo block by Carney.
You know, I think that's one spot. Carney has really good experience in the middle. She's a top player in the ACC. You know, if they can take advantage of that matchup a little bit, NC State can get back into this game.
I feel like we've spoken more about NC State's newcomers yet than we have about this veteran core that they have. Several seniors as the Pack earns yet another point to cut it to just 2. This is a team that just in Coach Hampton Keith's second year has a chance to be very good and make the NCAA tournament.
No question. I think the level of play in the ACC has continued to get better, and these kids have been through some of those battles, and it's only making them better. But yeah, Carney and Brown, really good leaders, really steady kids. And just looking at their bench, I see Perry Ramsey over there as well in her senior season. you know, we shouldn't underestimate the importance of senior leadership and the kids who play a valuable role, whether it's on the floor or whether it's in practice.
Both teams with some good depth here in Raleigh. Kansas took the first set 25-20, up 3 here in set number 2. We'll be back in just a minute here on the ACC Network Extra. Welcome back to Reynolds Coliseum. Andrew Sanders, Mike Shaw with you here. 15-12, Kansas's advantage. Here in set number 2, make it 16-12. And just before the timeout, I had said that NC State called a timeout. It's the first game of the season for me, too. I apologize. It was a media timeout, so both teams still have both timeouts remaining here in the second set.
You saw right there Havili go back to Alexander in the middle. She's doing a great job finding her in transition.
NC State asking for a touch, and neither the R1 nor the R2 saw the touch.
I couldn't tell, Andrew, if the middle back touched that or not.
I couldn't either. I know it was close.
Coach Hampton Keith thinks so.
I tell you what, volleyball is a difficult sport to officiate because of how quick the ball is going, how quick the movement is, and also sometimes it's just a fingernail.
Yeah, it's very fast. Officials are doing a good job, but obviously we can't see everything.
And that's about all Coach Hampton Keith can do, right? Go to the R2, ask for them to get together.
Exactly. Usually nothing comes of it, but at least they had a conversation.
Our officials tonight, Ray Mink in the stand and Michael Holder, the R2. Now both coaches getting an explanation. Here's another look. That was prior. And now NC State will call a timeout. Both captains right now being talked to at the stand. So
yeah, I can't tell if they're replaying the point. I don't think that's the case.
Right.
But I think he's just explaining that there's a no-touch call.
We'll take a timeout and try to get an explanation for you as well. Back in just a moment here on the ACC Network Extra. Back from the timeout, Kansas earned the last point to make it 17-12. And obviously that means that they have the serve. NC State trying to ask for a touch. We saw both captains go over to the stand as well. Not sure what that was about. But play will continue.
Great adjustment. That's a great adjustment by NC State. They had been getting hurt by Alexander in the middle. That time Kearney stayed at home on her and had some help from the right side in Evans.
And you really called it as Evans comes out and Porter comes in to serve. You called it at the beginning of the set. You thought that they would maybe go to Alexander more, and they've been feeding her.
Yeah, I mean, Alexander's a physical kid, and she had 2 swings in the first set. And, you know, this isn't Havili's first rodeo, so she found her and is getting her involved a lot more.
And just a miscommunication.
Yeah, looked like Payne was supposed to run a quick in front of the setter, but it didn't happen. But, you know, Kansas, they just shrug their shoulders and they're ready to go again. No big deal.
Yeah, as rare as that is for the Kansas Jayhawks, able to shake it off. Havili this time will find Rigdon, and Kearney able to dunk it.
Yeah, Kearney couple big plays, committing on the middle, and then just her presence at the net is just so solid. It gets them back within 2. Kansas switched up their formation. I would anticipate, you know, Kate Payne staying on the right side here.
Carney returning for NC State. She was top 5 for the Wolfpack in kills last year. NC State actually returns all 5 of its top killers, I guess you could say, from last season. The only team in the ACC to do so. That's kind of what my point was about NC State. While they have some new pieces, they also have some veterans.
No question, and it allows them to, play solid against a very experienced Kansas team.
Brown really had to have some hang time to stay up there for that one. And Payne didn't know that Miller was behind her.
Not the prettiest ball handling, but good save by Payne.
Brown.
Great dig
Dug
by
out.
Nelson. It's a great decision by Julia Brown. She stayed patient. And this is the first time in 2 sets she's had Havili in front of her, which is a lot different look than having Kelsey Payne in front of her. But she mixed up her shot. Kelsey Payne's in the right back. She's more interested in taking a swing than playing defense, and Brown capitalized on that.
A 5-inch difference between Payne and Havili. So now Brown goes back to serve, and Havili will just dump it over. First time we've seen her do that crafty play.
I was just gonna say, I think she's been saving it. That gives them another 3-point lead.
And just another thing for NC State to have to worry about defensively.
Yep.
And now we get to see the serve of Rigdon again. So difficult to get into your offense when that topspin serve is coming over. Burst tried to roll it. They'll set Brown out of the back row.
Great swing.
And Nelson, we just saw a fantastic dig from her a point ago. This time, unable to take that off the deck.
For sure. That's a great swing by Julia Brown. Bree Bailey was in the left front working to get in transition, but she just couldn't get there. And, the setters noticed that, got it to Brown in the back row. That's a great swing out of the back row.
Nelson with a good first pass. And Burst converts it. So far, a little over a set and a half here. Your impression of how Allie Nelson has done in the libero spot?
It's one of those things where I think Kansas feels really good about not really noticing Nelson. She's contributed well. She's passed very solidly. She's had a couple great digs. Nothing spectacular, but I think she's been very steady. And for a kid playing that position for the first time, I think that's a really important thing. And she has really good presence on the court. She communicates well, so she's off to a great start.
And from your libero, that's what you're looking for over everything, right? Is just that steadiness, that calming presence.
Exactly.
Well, Pickrell able to get the ace right off the top of the tape and over, and NC State cuts it to just 1 here.
Big point here, and this is a tough rotation for Kansas. Havili's in the right front, so they only have 2 front row hitters available. Burst really likes that inside set. They may go to her here on that.
Tight pass, and Havili. For the first time she did it for deception, that was out of necessity.
That was out of necessity, and I think NC State, if they had that again, they would just have committed on that, treat her just like a hitter. But that's a big point for Kansas to get out and have a 2-point lead going into the timeout.
Yeah, no one really stepped up to meet her there at the top of the net, and with the left hand, she dropped it down. 21-19, timeout on the floor here in Raleigh. It's been a good second set. Out of the timeout, Kansas leading NC State 21-19. He's Mike Shaw. I'm Andrew Sanders. Coach, what are you telling your troops in the huddle in a situation such as this on both sides?
Yeah, they're coming up, on NC State's side, they're coming up with an offensive game plan to hopefully capitalize on a matchup. The problem is Kansas has no matchup at the net to take advantage of. Kansas on the other side is trying to predict what NC State's going to do here. I imagine in the timeout they talked about the ball going to Bailey.
Coach Manor will set to Evans. Nelson meets it. Havili to Rigdon out of the back row, and Julia Brown playing all 6 spots comes up big. Bailey dug out. Burst all the way across. That was a tight angle.
That's Burst's shot right there. She's hit that a number of times. She just seems to be finding angles that don't appear to be there.
I mean, that was basically within the attack line.
Right.
And then Havili
Havili's missed a couple, and
That
that's
is a surprise.
Uncharacteristic. She's put a couple in the net, especially in that situation where they want to run away with it. This keeps NC State alive. Let's see if NC State can get their hands on a ball here.
Defensive specialist, Cassie Casper.
Pass by Rigdon. Tough break. Evans had her. Evans got her hands on that ball and, just out of bounds.
And you can see her reaction. She knows how close she was, but it'll be a kill for Kelsey Payne. Kansas, 2 points away now. And again,
tough floater here from Miller.
Evans, good swing. Nelson keeps it up.
Nelson.
And a pancake from Casper. Pickrell is left-handed, an easier swing from her. She's able to attack it behind the attack line. Back set, Evans. No, with some side spin all the way across the net. And an awkward set, it's converted.
Great swing by Evans, and she had a couple chances. That was her best chance. She showed some good maturity, being patient and finally taking the swing when she had one-on-one situation.
Probably an unorthodox position for Pickrell to be setting right there. Wasn't necessarily straight back behind her.
Yeah, she found her, though. That was a good ball.
Able to know exactly where the net was. Big point here. Evans.
Great swing. It's interesting on Kansas's side. I would guess Kansas calling a timeout here, so they'll put their game plan together coming back.
Having to burn its first timeout. NC State has exhausted its timeouts here in set number 2.
We'll see what Kansas wants to do here. Payne had hit out of the middle, but she's a kid that can hit anywhere along the net. Let's see what they do coming out of the timeout. She's going to the right.
They go to Payne.
Great touch.
Rigged in. Kuchmaner hit the floor, but sends it over the net and out of play. And Kansas, out of that timeout, able to earn the crucial point, and the most tense point that we've had so far tonight.
Exactly. Tough break for NC State. That would have been a big point to tie it up.
So it'll be Nelson serving for set number 2. Brown rises up. Miller digs it out. And Rigdon. NC State got a hand on it.
Back to the freshman. That's a big swing by Evans again, and I'm really impressed. Pickrell's obviously comfortable with her. Giving her the ball in game point situation, she takes a great swing off the hands of the libero.
Pickrell's seen what she's done in practice. This is the fans here in Reynolds Coliseum, their first opportunity to see Evans, and, well, she's fired up. And Porter with a service error, and that is such an anticlimactic way to end what was a tightly contested second set.
Tough break. Kansas has to feel good about walking away with a win in that one. Tough break for NC State.
We've got a 10-minute intermission here between sets 2 and 3, and we'll rejoin you here from Raleigh, North Carolina in just a few minutes.